All right, microphone's on, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Put your mic on, Bob.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, got it. Mike?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Good morning to the Board of Commissioners, 9:30 a.m. on November 5th, 2024, Election Day that we've all been anticipating. It's going to be an interesting week. So please join us in a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get right into the meat of the matter here, beginning with Agenda Item 3A, hearing on the sale of certain county park land to the Charleston Merchants Association. Counselor?
Yes, this is a hearing to consider whether or not to sell county parkland. It's a similar process that we go through for, it's the same process we go through for forest land. We have a hearing to determine whether we ought to sell the property. In this case, the county parkland in question is parkland that's been leased to Charleston Merchants Association for a couple decades now for the visitor center. And the context there is we have a separate agreement with Charleston Merchants Association to renovate the visitor center or relocate it, and sort of unique circumstances there. But yeah, the point of the hearing is to hear public comment on whether the park ought to be sold, and then we discuss, and if we feel it's necessary to sell the property, then we would sign draft order 2409043L for the sale of that property.
Okay, very good. So may I have a motion on opening the hearing on the sale of certain county park land to the Charleston Merchants Association?
Move we open the hearing.
Wait a second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have representative from the Charleston Merchants Association here today. Tim, would you care to come and share with us anything that you would like to say about the pending sale?
Sure. Well, I would like to say that, is this a good spot?
Yeah, that's fine right there.
Yeah, that we are excited to go ahead and proceed to do our best to make Charleston, continue to make Charleston a great place for tourism and for locals alike. And renovating that current location is something that will both provide a visitor center and also a meeting room area for our locals as well. And also, we're going to continue to obviously provide public access for clamming and for the dock that's on that location as well.
Yeah.
We've had an architect do a mock-up initially, and I brought that up. People would like to see that as well.
Yeah, very good.
To go ahead and read.
Yeah, I think we'd love to just have a glance at that. Would you,
Sure.
Commissioner?
I think that's a good idea. For those of you who aren't familiar with the property, it is, as you're coming north coming from the north, from Empire into Charleston, you cross the bridge, and immediately on your right, once you're on the south end of the bridge, is this piece of property. It's kind of tucked back in by the road and by Davy Jones' locker. And it's was an old trailer park, and I think the building originally might have been
The laundry.
laundry.
That's correct, John. The current visitor center where it is right now was originally the laundry facility for a trailer park that was there.
Yeah.
And essentially, the design, and that's the preliminary design, that we just wanted to check with the architect to make sure, number one, we could build on the site and it was viable. And we could do up to a 2-story building on that site. And initially, we're looking at doing a 1-story building with some meeting room facilities, like I mentioned, and also a facility as well for somebody to go ahead and work with us, with the Merchants Association. And so,
Very good.
got a great thing going out there. We just want to keep it nice and make it even better.
Well, I for one am excited to see that property be converted into something that's far more usable for the benefit of the merchant community and the community at large out there in Charleston. So that's fantastic.
Sounds great. We'll look forward to continue working with the county.
Okay. Any other discussion in this hearing from the board?
For people who locally know, it would be between the end of the bridge and Davy Jones Locker on the same side.
That's correct, yes.
Yep.
Right. Is there any discussion in the room on this hearing? Seeing none, let's go ahead and close the hearing. And I think I need a motion for that.
I move we approve and sign order number 24-09-043L for the sale of tax account 1538701 as stated in the order.
And do you add to your motion that we close the hearing as well, Commissioner?
Well, have to wait until we
Well, we
get approved. I don't want
the
to close
vote
it before we approve it.
isn't the hearing is first and the vote is after, I believe.
Oh,
Am I
okay.
mistaken about that, Counselor? or-
Well, that's correct. Close
Yeah,
the
okay.
public
Okay,
hearing.
Yeah,
I move
close.
we close the, withdraw my
Okay.
first motion and move we close the public hearing.
Formalities.
Okay, second.
This motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now a motion
Now,
on the
aye.
agenda item.
Did you have the order?
I got you.
I
Okay.
move again what I
What you moved before.
moved earlier.
All right, very good.
I'll second on the, yeah.
Very good. Is there any discussion on that motion?
No, sir.
All right, any discussion in the room on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
right.
4A, moving right along, Who's Health and Wellness. Dr. Lynch joins us today. Intergovernmental Agreement number 180006-12 with Oregon Health Authority. Good morning, Dr. Lynch.
Good morning. The Amendment 12 for OHA is to authorize a rollover for the TPAP funds, the Tobacco Prevention Education Program of $20,000, and the acceptance of the opioid settlement funds of $182,000 to be used. This is a total of $202,980.
Okay,
Move to approve intergovernmental agreement 180006-12 with Oregon Health Authority and authorize Department Head Mike Rowley to sign.
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 4B, contract with Advanced Health. Doctor?
This is a grant awarded for $10,000 for a compassion bag project. This project was designed to utilize the faith-based organizations within our community to educate and provide them with opportunity for outreach to individuals in the community that are in need. This program is a pilot program that we have been partnering with some of the faith-based that have reached out to public health and are looking for an opportunity to serve the community. And this is a $10,000 grant to support that pilot program.
Okay.
I move we approve the contract with Advanced Health and authorize Department Head Mike Rowley to sign.
Second for discussion.
All right, motion and a second. Discussion, Commissioner?
Where does the 10,000 come from?
It's coming from Advanced Health. That was a grant award that we wrote
Okay.
for. Yep.
And what does compassion bags mean?
A compassion bag was developed to be a speaking point that the faith-based organizations can use. That has some training associated with it, how to reach out to community members in need. It also has a resource card that is in a waterproof pouch, as well as a snack and some other small items. These are speaking points to go into this compassion bag and open up the conversation for those people from the faith-driven industry to the people in need.
Okay,
So it's a tool that we're developing.
okay.
All right, very good. Any further discussion on the board regarding this agenda item?
No, sir.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And item 4C, contract with Advanced Health. Dr. Lynch.
This grant is for $1,100 for Safe Save Spanish Restaurant Training Project. Previously, we have been able to provide a Serve Safe program for restaurant owners, but it was never provided in Spanish. We have to increase our funds to pay for someone bilingual to come in and teach this class. We have reached out to Advanced Health to be able to take those funds and not directly associate that to the Hispanic community that will be coming and getting trained.
Okay.
I move we approve the contract with Advanced Health and authorize Department Head Mike Riley to sign.
And second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Can you explain exactly what this is? Is it
So, yes.
Spanish language?
So the Serve Safe program, we offer to restaurant owners and workers to help develop their skills and how they're serving their food and making it a safe environment for the public. Now, this cost is at a certain rate to bring in the teacher, the instructor. Now, it has never been provided in Spanish. So we want to be able to provide this in a Spanish, and the cost associated is an extra $1,100 to bring in a bilingual instructor. So we don't want to have to pass that cost directly off to the restaurant owners. We wanted Advanced Health to support us and be able to provide that.
Okay. I just scratched my head. I mean, I have some friends who have a Spanish restaurant. They are extremely good in what they produce. I mean, I guess that's not, I don't know.
And we're-
I'm just kind of puzzled because all of them I've been to are very good.
And we're not saying
serving all
that
kinds of stuff.
they're not doing the right thing. We want to be able
Right.
to provide this service. That's what we
Huh.
want to be able to do.
It always seemed to me like they were providing an excellent service. That's
Well,
why I'm scratching my head going,
Well, it could always be new people coming in wanting to
That's
start a
right.
restaurant that would
I guess.
benefit from this.
Well, there certainly are cooks among various restaurants throughout the county who don't speak English.
This is not a language class, so really,
No,
a
it's
little bit, but a part of it.
It's providing it into both languages. So we're providing a little bit more, it's a little bit more expensive because the instructor is bilingual and has both languages. And some may speak and may not read. So we want to make sure that we're giving everybody the fair opportunity.
Interesting.
So I'm anticipating, I mean, I don't have any fundamental opposition to this idea, but I do anticipate some questions from my constituents. And one question that I anticipate is the one around, what I imagine being asked is, so now we have to spend extra money to provide safe food handling instruction to non-English speakers. That would be the first part of the question. And the second part of the question would be, what about people who don't speak Spanish but speak Vietnamese or Chinese or any other language, are we going to be providing training in those languages as well? So I'll put those out to you.
Sure, so I'm going to answer the second one first about multilingual opportunities, and I would hope that that would be an opportunity down the road. We haven't had anyone request it yet. We've had people request that it be done in Spanish, and our number one is food safety. That's our number one. We want to keep the community healthy, safe,
Right.
prevent them from having any foodborne illness, and if providing this in multi-languages is going to help that, then we're going to do it. We're going to look to do what we can to keep the public safe.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the board?
No, sir.
Any discussion in the room on this agenda item, Tom?
Tom Brown, Goose Bay. I'm wondering, are these illegal invaders that we're talking about that can't speak English?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think that we have, an illegal immigration problem so much in Coos County. I have not heard of that. But certainly there can be.
Why
Legal-
wouldn't we be teaching them how to speak English rather than jumping all the way to?
Right, well,
Could I answer that?
well, yeah, you could speak to it if I
When you're
may
done.
first, yeah. First of all, speaking English is not a requirement to become a citizen of the U.S. It is a requirement to understand certain things, go through the legal process. And certainly there are people who fall into that category. And the second point is another train that left the station, so I'll turn over to Commissioner.
Well, my point was, we have a lot of people that like to come to the United States because of the opportunities that are
That's
available
fine,
here.
I mean, illegal what?
And legal. Forget about the other, I'm just talking about legal, Tom. And they may or may not have full command of the English language when they get here. My experience is that sometimes if the parents have children that pick up a language, the parents learn more slowly, but they eventually get to have some command of the English language. But in the meantime, they're trying to support themselves. And this is one of the things I admire about the Hispanic community. They work hard. That is an expectation, a self-expectation that a lot of people who have been here for a long time don't have. And so this enables them to start earning a living right away, following the rules right away, because they can understand it better if those rules are explained in their own language. So I think it's a very positive thing to keep them, make them self-supporting, help make them self-supporting.
And the train came back to the station. The reality is that the time lapse to teach somebody safe food handling in a language they understand is far shorter than teaching them English to be able to comprehend the course in English. So I think there are community benefits to having that in place.
I'm just curious if they were illegals.
All right.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. Any other discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Lynch.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you as well.
Moving on to 4D, Roads Department, request approval to purchase a new Cat 306 mini excavator. Mr. Slater, good morning.
Good morning. So this is a request to make a purchase of a Cat Mini excavator through a Sourcewell contract. Even though we're not required to, we go ahead and get quotes from multiple vendors. We've been looking at some other brands, other makes. We looked at John Deere, we looked at Volvo, we looked at one called a Kato. You'll see on the summary quote sheet there, the Cat is not the cheapest one. We did elect to go with the Cat for a few reasons. One being the warranty is quite a bit better. The bumper-to-bumper warranty is twice as long. It's 2-year, 2,000 hour. It also comes with a 5-year powertrain hydraulics protection, which the Volvo does not. Of course, CAT, we have local support, Volvo, the nearest dealers in Eugene, and frankly, we haven't had the best response from Volvo dealing with the loader we bought for solid waste. And so that's a concern of ours, but we're gonna see that trend continue if we buy another
Okay.
Volvo. So, I know we've had this conversation before about equipment and looking at used stuff. We did look at, we got some prices on 3 used CAT excavators, and they were ranging from $99,500 up to, we looked at 3 of them that were in that 500 to 1,500 hour range, so not really used, pretty new. The highest of those 3 used ones was 113,700. So
For also a 306?
for a 306, same machine.
Wow.
The difference is we get that Sourcewell discount through those pre-negotiated
Oh, yeah.
contracts. And it makes a huge difference on the price.
Yeah, very good. All right, we have a motion.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing the Volvo. I see Peterson, Pape, and Pac West. Which we're talking about 4G.
Pac West is Volvo.
Oh, okay.
That's Volvo. Yeah, they're the
Okay.
Volvo dealer.
Okay, so they're actually more expensive than Peterson Cat.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, move to approve new CAT 306 mini excavator from Peterson CAT at the amount of $109,621 and 30 cents.
Second.
Motion and a second. I'll just pipe up this 12,000-pound excavator, which can be hauled behind a pickup.
This is a 17,500 pound.
It's 17,000. Oh, okay.
It's the biggest mini they make.
Okay, well, scratch the pickup idea.
It's a biggie
If
mini.
we had a modern diesel pickup, we could pull it, but what we're gonna do is put it behind a 5-yard dump truck that we have.
That makes
And
more
it'll-
sense.
That truck will be dedicated just to this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very good.
If I understood Paul correctly, he said this wasn't the cheapest, but it does show it as being the least expensive
Yeah.
of the 3
It does.
by about $3,000.
Hold on. The 3 prices should be, the CAT was 109,621.30.
Yeah,
The Pape, which is the John Deere, was 112,784.32.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pac West Volvo is 99,210.
And it says
it
113 here.
Yeah, that was sorry, I thought we updated that and got that sent out to Jessica. not
Okay.
you. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, they were actually cheaper, but
Okay.
not
No,
considerable.
no concern. So will you be then surplusing the 308 that you guys have not been very happy with?
We have a loader. Or the 314 excavator.
Oh,
That
okay.
one's probably a year or 2 away from surplusing.
Is that the one that you've commented is really underpowered on the ground drive particularly?
That's actually our 325, which is only a 4-year-old machine.
Oh, okay.
That one we do plan on getting rid of also in the next probably 1 to 2 years and getting something a little bit bigger with a counterweight.
Okay,
That's a 0-turn machine that just doesn't have much power.
right. Okay. Very good. Any other discussion on the board?
nope.
Discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
4E, request approval to purchase a new Vermeer VX50-800 vacuum excavator trailer. That kind of, I've heard those suck.
They suck really bad.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so this is an 800-gallon vacuum trailer. It's got a water tank on it, of course. Again, it's a Sourcewell purchase, but we went ahead and got quotes, and Vermeer is just, it's about $270 more than a Ditch Witch. The Vermeer comes with lifetime training. The dealer's in Eugene, and that's where their mechanics are that support the machine. Ditch Witch, their nearest dealership's Portland, and there's no training. So we felt like it was worth a couple $100 extra.
Sounds like it.
We're gonna get better support.
Do you have a motion?
I move we approve purchase of a new Vermeer VX50-800 vacuum excavator trailer from RDO Equipment Company for $125,321.36.
And second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Yeah. It shows the Vermeer is a couple $100 less than the Ditch Witch, not more.
Yeah, I just realized that I have
You got the transposition on numbers here?
yeah, the Vermeer, no, it's correct. The Vermeer is 125, 321, 36.
Okay,
They had, we corrected with them this morning, they had they call it a vehicle privilege charge. It's something that they have to pay as a dealership. And in their original quote, they had passed that to us, but then they corrected that and removed it, so that's where it went down to the one.
okay, so it's the least amount.
So the quotes you have are correct.
Okay,
All right,
very good. Any further discussion on the board?
nope.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
4F, request approval to purchase a new Moorbark BVR13 brush chipper.
I wanted to comment back to the back trailer. The county's never owned such a thing. We've rented one a couple times in the last couple of years, but other than that, pretty much never had such a machine. And it's gonna make our crew's life a lot easier when it comes to trying to expose utilities and work around utilities.
Right.
We do a lot of hand digging to expose those things, and so this machine will save a lot of that hand work.
Oh, that's good. Will it be used for cleaning out culverts as well?
Yes, cleaning inlets and outlets, instead of having to dig, we can
Yeah.
actually vacuum out the material.
Yeah.
We should do a lot less damage to culvert inlet now.
Well, and speed those service calls and
Yes.
therefore be able to fit more of them in.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay, the Moorbark.
Moorbark chipper, it was the lowest of the three that we got quote. Again, it's a Sourcewell purchase. Got three quotes, there was the Vermeer, Moorbark, and then actually FMI on the list you got there, that's a dealer for Moorbark. And they had a 2023 model, and their price was actually higher for the 2023 than it was for the new one, buying it direct from Moorbark, so.
Okay,
Our current chipper, we do have a chipper right now, it's a 1995 model, and the parts are hard to get. And it's quite a bit smaller, it's a 9-inch chipper, whereas this new one's 14.
14.
Yeah.
That's a lot of chipper.
With a winch, so we'll be able to do bigger stuff than needed.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chair, move to approve Moorbark BVR13 brush chipper in the amount of $62,587.18.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board? Hearing none. Any discussion in the room? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nobody wanted to talk about Fargo. That's good. All right. Item 4G. Request to start new hire above step 2.
So these next two agenda items are basically identical. We announced for job openings for two maintenance worker 2 positions. These were the two folks we selected, Robert Smith and Mackenzie Gibson. They both come to us with a couple years of experience, plus they've already got their CDL, plus the tank reimbursement, which we would need for what we do. So they're all set up, ready to go with a couple years of experience each. Robert Smith has even a little bit more than that, probably 3 years of experience. He's been working in the construction industry already in the private sector. So just requesting to start with step 3 for each one.
Okay.
Move to approve hiring Robert Smith at step 3, pay scale 802.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And item 4H, as you stated, Paul, identical situation, different person, for Mackenzie Gibson. May I have a motion?
I move approval of hiring Mackenzie Gibson at step 3, pay scale 802.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Nope.
Any discussion in the room? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I do have one other quick comment. On those 3 equipment purchases, we were able to get them for prices that brought us in about $30,000 under what we budgeted for the 3.
Oh, very
good.
Also,
That's excellent.
you may want to go out to 7 Mile Culvert, tide gate it, the asphalt sinking.
Yep. We're going to do a shoulder repair on that probably this week.
Yeah,
At the
it's-
latest, early next week.
I have pictures from last March, and it was just the the shoulder was cracking, and now it's all gone, and asphalt's
Yeah, we've been monitoring it.
Going out.
We hired a private dive team to go in there and assess the inside of that culvert. We've got at least one hole that they found. It's probably about 15 to 18 feet in from the tie gate end. There was a patch done on that pipe probably 10 to 12 years ago, somewhere in there. John Rowe, my predecessor, had that done by Nahalem Marine. This is kind of a big topic to discuss right now, but there'll probably need to be a work session sometime in the near
Yeah.
future to talk about a much bigger undertaking down there with multiple landowners.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Yeah, it needs, we're gonna repair the shoulder to help the road, but that won't fix the leak. And then
Yeah.
we're looking at having the Haley Marine. do
Because
a
before
minor
that,
patch.
we had school bus had a problem down there some years ago.
I've heard that story.
Yeah, and
Don't want
then
that
we
to
lost the culvert out there by Kentuck too. That was down to one lane and half of the road was gone. We got that
On
fixed.
East Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got that all fixed, so
Yeah.
just didn't want that to happen to this one.
No, definitely not.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
All right, next up, 4I, for Community Corrections, approval to purchase one new Dodge 2023 Charger SXT. for community. Good morning, Kelly.
Yeah, we, as part of our rotation of our fleet vehicles, we're rotating one out with 93,000 miles, probably have 100 on it by the time we get rid of it. And so we're requesting approval. We did a 3-quote process. They're not currently making Dodge Chargers in 24, and they're waiting to see if they're going to make them in 25. So we had to go out for a 23. And the only one that was willing to give me a quote was Ron Tonkin Chrysler Dodge in the amount of $36,553.40. We are requesting approval for that.
Have a motion.
I move we approve purchase of 2023 Dodge Charger SXT in the amount of $36,553.40 from Ron Tonkin Chrysler Dodge and Ram at 16,800 Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard, Milwaukee, Oregon 97267 for Community Corrections.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
No?
Kelly, is this car is a 2-door or 4-door?
A four-door. Four-door. We, because we put a cage in to be able to do a rest in the vehicles. So we kind of, the cage he currently has in his current Charger, that I believe is going to fit in there, so it'll kind of staying with the same model.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And the issue that I ran into is when you do the 3-quote process, they don't hold the vehicle. So I'm praying when I leave here, if you do approve it, that they still have it on the lot. Because there's
Well,
not
that
very many.
that was my next question. So, all right.
So I will be, if you approve it, I'm going to be racing back and making the call to find out.
All right. Okay. Well, we won't hold against you your early exit from our meeting here. All right. Very good. Any further discussion on the board?
No?
Any discussion in the room on this agenda item?
And just one other note, I just want to clarify that we are not part of the general fund. That our funds do-
Correct. You are not part of the general fund. Thank you for that clarification, Kelly. I appreciate it. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. And that does it for you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Let us know how that comes out, okay?
I will.
Shoot me an email. Thank you. All right, Sheriff is up next with 4J, FY 2022 COPS Technology and Equipment Program, additional appropriations to cover the COPS grant and Resolution 24-10-183B. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning.
I don't know if I can do much better than that. This is the grant we've been dealing with a while. But we did get, it's actually a 6-month extension through the end of March. So it's just requesting the extended time and additional appropriations of the full amount of $231,000.
Move to approve the extended time and additional appropriation of $231,000, Resolution 24-10-183B.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
No.
Any discussion in
Thank
the
you.
room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 4K, intergovernmental agreement with OSFM money to update our CWPP. Debbie, you want to explain all those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you, we'd like to request to authorize the sheriff to sign the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon State Fire Marshal to receive up to $189,000 to update our community wildfire protection plan, which was originally created in 2011, and I'm pretty sure has not really had anything done with it since then. It should be updated every 5 years. Having it done gives us an opportunity to apply for other funding. A number of our jurisdictions have been hindered in applying for grants because it's not current, and we just kind of hadn't gotten to it yet and didn't have the money to seek consultants to work on it. So this grant will allow us to do that and update it and give us, kind of reset the goals for wildfire protection. This kind of looks at the wildfire urban interface, and we'd like to accept their money.
Mr. Chair, move to approve authorized sheriff to sign IGA for $189,000 for the CWPP.
Second the motion?
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
I have. I say thank you for updating this and for seeking and finding the funds with which to do it. And this is important work. I mean, it's a big deal, this urban-rural interface for fires. And if we're not up to date on it as a county, I think there's a potential that it could adversely impact people's home insurance. So
Yeah.
this is nicely done. Thank you.
Welcome. And Commissioner Sweet, you might want to let your Gorse Action Group know that this is in process. I have received a couple calls from members of that group asking about what were we doing, which kind of heightened us to look at, oh no,
I'd be very happy if you're the one that deserves the credit. Why don't you notify them?
all right.
This is not my group, and I'd like to get them off my back. So thank you.
Maybe we'll send them a Christmas card on your behalf.
Good.
All right. Any other discussion on the board? Any discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Sheriff.
I apologize
You
for
you have a late.
If I may, unfortunately, I don't think I have the correct documentation, though. What I have is, it's late because it's kind of it's a very, very last minute. I don't have an actual agenda item written up.
Yeah, very good. Okay, let's, may I have a motion on hearing the late?
Move to approve a late.
Second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Lay it on us, Sheriff.
Appreciate it very much. So in the cell blocks in the jail, we have the fencing up above. It's fall protection is what they call it. And basically, we've had a couple instances where adults in custody have attempted to harm themselves by jumping off the second story onto concrete. Most areas are covered except for one, which we're trying to get fencing for. The insurance company will cover half of it. The total cost is $9,980. Insurance is going to cover half of it as a grant, but they need half of it up front. So really just looking for transfer authority from supplies to major RI and to pay the balance to the fencing company of $4,989.76. And then we'll make up the rest later when insurance gives us.
Well, it sounds like that would be worth avoiding a lawsuit.
Yes, sir.
At least one lawsuit. among the dozens, whatever. Okay.
Anyway.
On the sheriff's request. Motion on the sheriff's request?
Oh, wake up. I was thinking there was more discussion. Move to approve sheriff's request for additional fencing in the jail for $4,989.76.
And I second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Any word from our finance director? Yeah.
It's gonna say you're happy.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
So you've added that to your motion?
I did, of course.
You got
The
it.
motion does include the transfer
And I second that
appropriation.
as well.
Okay, very good. All right.
That form is sitting on my desk, so.
All right. Any further discussion on the board? Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry for late, mate. Thank you, gentlemen.
Very good,
Thank
Sheriff.
you.
Thank you. And a late is not a problem. Things happen. All right. Human Resources, this is the SAIF dividend check for policy periods ending in 2023. Charity, good morning.
Good morning.
It's that time of year again.
Yes.
Okay.
We received money back from SAFE because they declared a $60 million dividend. And the county's portion that they returned to the county is 9.79%
Okay,
of our standard premium.
very good.
I move we approve depositing the dividend check into the general fund.
Okay, I second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
I would note that it is in the amount of $23,781.
That's what I was kind of looking for.
Better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Any discussion in the room?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Charity. Have a blessed day.
You too.
And next up is 4M for community development. I don't see anybody from
This,
community.
this
one's
one
been
is to be
pulled.
pulled.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay. All righty.
That explains that. All right, moving on then to 4N. Assignment and amendment of lease between City of Myrtle Point and Umpqua Community Development Corporation, UCDC, for the 4H OSU Extension Building. Counselor?
Yes, thank you. Back in April, the county entered into a purchase agreement for the county to acquire Umpqua Community Development Corporation's interest in the 4H OSU Extension Building. That's 61 Alder Street in Myrtle Point. And the building is on land that's leased to UCDC by the City of Myrtle Point. And in order for us to purchase the building, we have to step into UCDC's shoes in that lease. And so this agreement would authorize the county to replace UCDC as the so-called tenant or lessee of the ground lease. And so the requested action is actually threefold. One's approve the assignment and amendment of the lease with the City of Myrtle Point. The second would be to approve a memorandum of lease that will be filed in the land records of the county to show that there's a record of our ownership in the lease. And the third would be to determine a funding source for the annual rent. The terms of the lease call for $2,500 in annual rent going to the City of Myrtle Point. So we just need to identify a source of funding for that.
Okay.
You want to discuss the funding?
Well, I think we should do that as part of the motion discussion. So let's get a motion and then have that conversation.
I move that we approve assignment and amendment of the lease with the City of Myrtle Point for the 4H/OSU Extension Building. Secondly, to approve a memorandum of lease to provide record notice of the lease assignment. And 3, to determine a funding source for the annual rent paid to the city of Myrtle Point.
Second on all.
Okay, motion and a second. Now, the discussion. Do we have any discussion on sub-items 1 or 2?
I would just point out for those in the audience that the lease that we will pay to the city of Myrtle Point for the land under the building is $2,500 per year. The lease we get for rental of the building to the extension service and 4-H is $40,000.
4,000 a month.
4,000 a month.
48,000 a year.
48,000 a year.
Yep.
And they also pay for maintenance. So it's a pretty good deal for the county.
Maintenance of the building.
Maintenance of the building, yes.
Yeah, not maintenance of our buildings.
That's
that much.
interior and exterior.
You think you could redesign that contract to make them responsible for all of our buildings as well? No, probably not.
They've been
Okay.
easy to work with so far.
All right,
So-
very good.
So,
Funding, could we not, and here we need Megan. It just seems we can take it out of the rent we receive.
Well,
So the rent that we receive will go into the general fund because the general fund will ultimately own the building. And so I would recommend that we pay the rent to the city of Myrtle Point out of the general fund. It'll come out of 9,900 miscellaneous department.
okay, I am wondering if it wouldn't inure some fiscal benefit to us to not take it directly out of the general fund, but it seems to me that maintenance of this facility is pretty consistent with our intention as expressed in proceeding with this deal to begin with, by which we justified the use of economic development funds resources. Wouldn't this be able to fall under that same heading, and therefore save, it's not a lot, but save that 2,500 in the general fund?
I would think that that would be more of a stretch. It's one thing to do a one-time purchase out of economic development. It's a whole nother thing to pay an annual rent out of there.
Feels good to me when I stretch. Stretching is, positive. You think that it's untenable?
Yes,
well,
but
How-
I'm not.
I would also want to verify that that's an appropriate use of the fund. It's a bit
however,
indirect,
yeah, but however, OSU, 4-H extension, et cetera, is providing an economic service to the county for economics of all of the food industry for this county. So it does seem like it would be appropriate.
On the other hand, I don't think that it will become a county building. And I think we're responsible for maintaining our buildings one way or the other. And I don't know that this doesn't seem to fit to do what you're suggesting to me. I prefer that we,
It is a county building, but it's not like a normal county building. It's leased out to an educational facility, University of Oregon, Oregon
Careful where
State
you go there.
University. I have to apologize to my two kids, I guess, where they are performing services for the benefit of the economics of the county.
So just to be clear, what's the annual rent?
$2,500.
Do we really want to spend a lot of time on $2,500 in a $26 million
Well, we'll
budget?
discuss that if the levy doesn't pass and see how you feel about it then.
I think it's a stretch,
If.
and
I'm hoping it passes.
I'll just have you sign the economic development report that I have to do every year.
Okay, I'm good.
I think my concern would be that it's not expressly for that purpose. It's, if you look at it, just, you know, the four corners of it, it's a lease for land, $2,500 a year, a lease for ground. And there's nothing specific to economic development if you just look at the terms of that lease. And so I'd be concerned that, you know, somebody strictly construing whether or not this is economic development would say, well, it's just a lease for land.
There's no covenants in the lease.
No covenants in the lease to say that it be used for economic development.
But if it weren't for,
It's a risk, and given the amount of money that we're saving, I would wonder if we want to, if it's worth it.
if it weren't for OSU leasing the building, we wouldn't have a need for it.
That is true.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's indirect, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah. But the point also is stipulate that it's, you know, not very much money to worry about. And the other point is, if we don't take 2,500 out of ED to fund this, then that 2,500 remains in ED to use for something else. So
Well,
it
and
doesn't really matter.
Another argument would be that we're purchasing the building with mostly economic development
Right.
funds. Why isn't the rent from the building going back into the economic development fund?
We don't want to ask that question.
All right,
So I think we should.
I think I made my point.
All right, let's not push it any further then. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion
I would
on
add
this?
then to the motion that the funding source be the general fund.
Okay. I'm good with that. Second on that? That sounds like an angry second, but I'll take it anyway. All right, any further discussion on the board? Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The rent will be funded out of the general fund. Okay, item 4O, letter of support for CCD grant application, Commissioner Sweet.
No, I kind of forgot about this. Let me see. This is a letter to support an application for a grant, a 3-year grant of $75,000 per year that would go to CCD. And what is EDA? Oh, gosh.
Who wrote this agenda item?
Economic Administration. Okay, CCD has been invited by the Economic Development Association to apply for a EDA partnership planning grant. They are in the process of completing the grant application. The EDA partnership planning grant is what CCD has been receiving since 1971. This is a 3-year grant of $75,000 per year with a CCD match of $75,000 a year. So we're simply writing a letter supporting their application for this $75,000.
Well, we're not writing the letters on the back. It's already done.
Well,
There you go.
we have written the letter.
All right. We're going to sign it, though, if we pass.
So
All right, may I have a motion?
I move we sign the letter of, the CCD letter of support.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
No.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have, let's just go ahead and run with the agenda as it is. I got a couple of late agenda items we'll throw in after
Mr.
consent
Chair, move to
calendar.
approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent calendar?
No.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And now we will move to late agenda items 6A. Amendment and assignment of Beaver Hill Tower lease from Bi-Coastal Media to Tarpon Towers. I assume Tarpon Towers is in Florida. They must be, huh? That's, I think, the only place you can get tarpon in the US. I don't know.
You know, that is, yeah, you used it correctly, yeah, they're a Florida company, though they're Incorporated in Delaware, as many.
Of course they are. Yes, okay.
Yeah, so this is an amendment and assignment of a lease that we have to Bicoastal Media for a cell tower site in Beaver Hill. Bicoastal Media is selling that interest to Tarpon Towers and assigning it over to that company. There are no changes to the lease terms other than correcting the legal description. As part of the transaction, they discovered that cell tower site, it doesn't quite match the legal description, so fix that with the help of some surveyors.
Okay, may I have a motion?
I move that we, one, approve the amendment to an assignment of the Bicoastal Media Tower lease. Two, approve a memorandum of lease to provide record notice of the lease assignment. And three, authorize chair to sign.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the board? Any discussion in the room on this agenda item? Marty?
Good morning, gentlemen. Marty Mark, Bend, Oregon. The only question I have is, does anybody know who Tarpon Towers is? Who's the underlying owners of those? I have issues with Bicoastal Media that go back quite a ways, but are we just handing off from one entity to another that we have? You know, I'm just curious, does anybody know who Tarpon Towers is?
I don't know, Counselor, do we have any idea about who's behind Tarpon Towers?
Just that they're a national tower operator. That there are a number of these outfits that operate towers on county property. Up in Yamaha County, we worked with again, it's just sort of companies with a national portfolio of towers, and they pay rent to the counties.
Do you know if any of them are owned by George Soros?
No, I don't believe these.
Right.
Yeah, Tarpon Towers is probably just a holding company. I mean, my issue with Bicoastal Media is they own 50-plus radio stations up and down the coast of California, Oregon, Washington. They have a basic monopoly of all the radio stations in Coos Bay. And, even though technically they're within the law with the FCC, it's pretty sketchy. So I'll just have to do some looking up about Tarpon Towers. But I was just curious if anybody knew about Tarpon Towers. Seems like the answer is no. And that's all I have to say about it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion in the room on this agenda item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our last late agenda item, 6B, assignment and assumption of the building lease between Umpqua Community Development Corporation and the OSU Extension Service. Counselor.
So yeah, this goes part and parcel with ground lease. We're leasing ground from City of Myrtle Point for the 4-H OSU Extension Building. This is the lease of the building out to the Extension Service. And UCDC is assigning their interest as the landlord over to us. And we'll have no changes to the terms of the lease that they have with OSU. Base rent's $4,000 a month plus any maintenance costs that come with owning the building.
Okay, very good.
I move we approve the assignment and assumption of the building lease between UCDC and the OSU Extension Service and authorize our chair to sign.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on the board?
Yep.
Any discussion in the room? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So, Mr. Chair, Tarpon Towers is a small privately held company based in Bradenton, Florida. They have 3 subsidiaries that they have also.
Okay.
Okay. So they're not owned by anybody, but they own 3 other tower companies: North Atlantic, New Hampshire and Massachusetts, Dixie Towers, and Florida Tower. Okay.
Okay, very good. All right. Move right into commissioner comments. Sure.
Well, I'll start up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, since the time of our last Board of Commissioners meeting, I think most of us met with Ray Bouchiger, who is, represents our county among other entities in Washington, D.C. He's been very, very effective in getting grant money for us. The last several years received, I don't remember the amounts, but it was significant, money to microfilm a lot of the documents in the sheriff's office, creating a lot of efficiencies and more space. And then another notable grant was to repave Libby, a good portion of Libby Lane. And Paul, I can't remember, you offhand remember what that was about, what that was for? How much?
The amount for Libby Lane?
Yeah. $1,000, yeah. So, and he's every year honest to submit grants, to help him submit grants to support us. And in addition to that, then he advocates for issues that are important to the county as they arise. We had a workshop, a work session on consolidation of our dispatch service. Following day, Wednesday the 17th, Solid Waste, who was receiving bids for replacement of the roof over the garbage pit. They came in, they've been saving money for this, and they came in quite low, I think just a little over $1,800,000. So it was more than $1 million under what we had been projecting. And the reason for this is there are environmental reasons to have the roof over the pit so we don't have bad materials leach out of the pit into the soil surrounding the pit. There's economic reasons. We don't get paid very much for hauling rainwater from here to the landfill. So this is something Solid Waste has been saving for I don't know, 5-6 years, coming completely out of their own earnings. So I'm very proud of what they were able to do, and finally we'll get it done. I don't know, when do you expect to start construction? Or do we have any more?
Finishing up the contract documents.
The following week, we had a discussion about completing the use of our American Rescue Plan funds. There's some timelines on those that we have to designate how we're going to use those, and by the end of this year, and have them used up by the end of 2026, I believe. Did a presentation to Rotary in Coos Bay North Bend for in support of the public safety levy. We had a road legalization hearing regarding some roads in the Allegheny area. Let's see what else we got. Met with some people from the Ford Family Foundation, try to engage them in redoing the way local governments are financed. A large part of county finances and other local government finances come from property taxes. And that's proven to not be an adequate source of funding. So trying to get some discussion going with the state and with the help of the Ford Family Foundation to see if we can find some long-term answer to that problem. somewhere along the line, we had a hearing regarding Bandon Dunes plans to put a new golf course, their sixth 18-hole course south of Bandon, and we denied an appeal to that. We were to formalize that today, but we haven't, so I don't know what's happened in the interim, why we haven't. But we'll learn that later, I assume. And then, last Wednesday, I got on the airplane out of North Bend and flew to San Francisco and spent a long weekend with my grandchildren and my daughter and her husband. But came home yesterday, it's good. As nice as it was to be down there, it's always good to come home.
I believe you came home a year older too, didn't you, Commissioner?
Yeah. That happened.
All right, that happens. Very good. A happy belated birthday, by the way.
Well, thank you. Probably knows, well, I guess you should be happy to be having them still, but beyond
Yeah,
that, I
I
don't
should
find
say.
them very rewarding.
Mark?
Question for John, now you denied the golf course to go forward?
No.
No. The county had approved the golf course, Mark, and then that approval was appealed by an environmental group, and we denied the appeal, so.
All right. Commissioner Main?
So John has already talked about the Ocean River Golf Course by Bandon Dunes Resort. We also had a meeting in a series of talking about Allegheny Road approval from the state highway up to the Allegheny Church. I attended the Coos Curry Farm Bureau annual meeting last Friday and gave a short talk about various things. And last Friday from 9 to 12, I was on a Zoom meeting with the Wind Road Map under House Bill 4080. My personal opinion is I'll never get 3 hours of my life back. Up on the screen, and I took a screenshot of it, the round table is not a decision-making body and has no formal authority to make or enforce policies. So, first of all, you're going, why have it in the first place? Number 2, it's also not sanctioned task force or authoritative committee. Number 3, it's not a platform to address specific offshore wind proposals or directly engage with any future energy areas. And number 4, participation in the roundtable does not imply support or opposition to offshore wind development. That was some of the premises of having this 3-hour meeting. Then they're going to have one once a month until next June, apparently. So I found that seems like another state committee that nobody needs. My personal opinion. Mr. Chair?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Well, I'll pick up right where Commissioner Main left off. The State Department of Land Conservation and Development, DLCD, sponsored this 3-hour gab fest that really seemed like a milquetoast session. There was really no purpose in it that I could determine other than to seek that word that James Bennett speaks so often from the microphone here in front of us, consensus. That's what they were after. A consensus was not arrived at, but like Commissioner Main, I'm not sure what the purpose of this meeting really was.
But, Mr. Chair, one of their quotes, the roundtable is a facilitator of collaboration.
Right, right. So
That's right off of their screenshot.
I do think that I was a little regretful that that meeting took place on Friday, which was 3 business days before Election Day today, because after today, we'll know the results of the advisory question regarding wind energy. And it would have been nice to be able to go into that meeting with that ammo, because I'm quite confident that we're going to see a significant yes vote on that measure.
Curry also has it on their ballot.
Curry also has it. Yes, that's right. So, so I do look forward to taking that little piece of weaponry into the next meeting and call these people on the carpet regarding public opinion pertaining to their boondoggle project. I also engaged in a discussion over a longstanding issue regarding the Englewood Dike. The Englewood Diking District is at the south end of Coos Bay. The Coalbank Slough runs right through, you go over that bridge as you go into the south end of Coos Bay. And there has been a serious degradation of that dike, affecting private property all the way up the Coalbank Slough, which goes all the way up to, what's the name of the road at the end up there? What? Shingle House Slough, yes, that's right, at Red Dyke Road. Anyway, a lot of properties are affected by the deterioration of that dike, and there's been it's been very difficult to get that thing moved off dead center. It seems like that is happening now, and that's very good. So looking forward to seeing some resolution and repairs to that dike over this next year or two to protect those private properties. It is Election Day today, and I hope that everybody has gotten their ballots in. If you haven't, please do so. Votes matter. Every single legal vote, every single authorized vote matters. So please get out and vote, and thank you all for being here today. With that, I'll open up to public comments. First on the list, Marty Kurt.
Why are you picking on me? But then I realized I put my name on the list, so.
You did do that. Yeah.
So to follow up with the DLCD, yeah, we went to a DLCD meeting in Empire where it was about 2 hours of them giving a very nice presentation about what they thought they could do to get feedback, to at least have public input about the wind turbine projects off our coast. And then at the end of the meeting, they basically said, well, thanks for all your input, thanks for all your comments, which were much better than the BOM meetings that I went to, where they had listening sessions where they basically said, no, we are not going to listen to you. The listening session is you listen to us, and if you have any comments, keep it to yourself. DLCD, at least they took a lot of comments, and they had a lot of online forms you could fill out if you said, oh, there's something technically wrong with the wording from BOM, and therefore you have something you can do about it. Other than that, it was public feedback, which is, they're like, well, thanks for the feedback, but we're not listening. The main reason I came up here today was a while back, County Council and commissioners, I asked you about the Red Cross getting access to the fairgrounds in case there is an emergency without any definition of what the Red Cross essentially called an emergency. And at some point we mentioned that maybe you should change that so that the fairgrounds have to get approval of all 3 commissioners before the Red Cross can take over and do anything. And I was just curious, has there been any progress on that, or did it just kind of fall through the cracks?
I think honestly, Marty, that one fell through the cracks. I don't think we've done anything on that unless, I don't think we have.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up again. I mean, it's one of those things where I might be needlessly paranoid about what could possibly happen.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. Yeah.
Now, for the fairgrounds, if we have flooding, I've personally seen water in the commercial building on the ground floor up about 3, maybe 4 feet deep.
Okay.
So most of the fairgrounds is flooded if we have a flood.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be a location for Red Cross?
Yeah, well, my biggest worry is how the Red Cross, I mean, and I looked on the Red Cross site and I did some research into it, and their definition of what constitutes an emergency is pretty nebulous, where they basically can say anything is an emergency because we say so, which means it could be an emergency of, we just want to relocate a whole bunch of people to your fairgrounds and good luck stopping us. So that was my biggest worry. I don't think it will happen, I don't think it could happen, but putting in fail-safes or or ways of making sure it doesn't happen is probably a good idea. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, since it is election day, at one point Coos County had a board of elections or an election board, as I understand it. What does it take to get one of those back?
As a matter of fact, I'm really glad you asked that, because I have a Post-it note right here on my laptop about elections board, because that's something that's high on my priority list as well. It's been mentioned for a couple of different meetings here and in other company, and so I've actually been working on going through to figure out what the historicity of the elections board was, and how we go about re-establishing that body of authority over our elections process. So it's a great question. I'm
going to have to ask for a definition. What is historicity?
Historicity? Do you have a smartphone? The historicity is the historical reality of, I mean, you could just say the history of it.
Oh, there we go.
History has two fewer syllables.
Okay, so you wanted to use the $2 word as opposed to the 25-cent word. Cool. Yeah, I didn't know.
Never hurts.
Didn't know the $2 word. So
words are good. They mean things.
I've heard that. And that's about the extent of it. I just wanted to get up and say, hey, election board would be nice, and fairgrounds, worry about it, and I'm done. Thank you so much for your time.
Good.
Thanks everybody for your help.
Thank you, Marty. Next on the list is Mark Kane, I believe.
Hi, my name is Mark Kane. I'm a private landowner on the North Bank Lane and on the Coke Hill River there. I just wanted to follow up on where we were going with the work session that we discussed previously in regards to the tide gate issue at 7 Mile turnoff. This has been quite a few years. My neighbors and I have been trying to, push for resolvement of getting this fixed, for not only transportation, but our private land as well is going, basically, it's getting ruined as we speak right now, just with the small amount of rainfall we've had. So, again, I feel like we need probably one person at the helm just to orchestrate to get all the entities to come together with, the roadmaster, ODFW, the STEP program, the people with money, with grant money, the watershed. So I guess maybe I would ask you guys on help to get a way to orchestrate it better instead of talking about it and then 8 years goes by and nothing gets done.
Okay.
So if you guys could have some kind of a plan to help, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, it's definitely a legitimate concern out there, Mark, and as I told you on the phone yesterday, I drove by there yesterday and saw that the problem on the roadway is getting worse.
Right.
Clearly have a problem there. We heard from Public Works Director Paul Slater earlier in the meeting here today that there was a diving inspection done on that culvert, and they did find a hole of some substantial size, about 15 feet in from the tide gate. And I don't think that's any surprise to you.
It's an old burning barrel that's had, it's older than everybody here. Well, maybe not all of us.
Maybe not. That's enough now.
And it is an issue not just there, but, there's other tide gates, I understand, in Coos County, that, So, but we do have other entities, I believe, that could help in the resolvement of getting this done.
Right.
Because it is a main tributary, which I talked with, I'm not sure of the person's name, Coquille Watershed, the head of that. He told me that 7 Mile Creek wasn't a major estuary. And I'm like, it was low on the priority list of helping with salmon restoration. When I've been told by ODFW, STEP program, and, a couple other entities, that it is. It's amazing. Bear Creek and Lambert Creek are the 3 main estuaries that could make Coos, or the Coquille River, just have an abundance of fish.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, again, what I'm trying to ask for is I'm going into retirement, I'm trying to enjoy doing things on, fixing my property up as well, but I would love to have some kind of person, have like a game room that we go after it, reach out, come back, to attack it in a constructive way that gets resolved.
Right.
Over the years, there's been some things said that my neighbor and I didn't want help, and which is a lie. And ODFW, kind of orchestrates a lot of these entities that have the money, and I've got evidence that it hasn't gone well. They've made bad choices. So I
don't say.
I just like when a decision is made on something, especially like this, it's very critical. I like a large group. I don't want just 1 or 2 entities to say, well, we know best, we know best.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want a group that hashes it over. Because in my opinion, the stupidest person in the group can come up with the best, greatest idea at any given time. So again, I would somehow like help with the orchestrating of it.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that, Mark. Appreciate it. And we are, I think this topic is on all of our radar, and certainly I know that it's on Paul's radar as well.
Right.
Paul, would you care to speak to this for a minute, please? Thank you very much.
So again, my microphone works really good. I was trying to get the Watershed Council to kind of lead the charge on this, and they've, as Mark said, the feedback I got from them was this area, 7 Mile Creek, is lower on their priority list, so probably wouldn't rank well through their technical review process. Therefore, they're willing to be a partner, at least initially, and be involved. They didn't know, how far along the process they'd be willing to go, but they're interested in being a partner, but they don't want to be the lead on the project. So I reached out to Kaylee Sowers with Coos SWCD to see if they would have an interest in being a lead. Obtaining outside funds to do, a culvert and tie gate upgrade, as well as, potential other things that landowners might want to do upstream. That's usually best led by an organization like a Watershed Council or a Soil and Water Conservation District, or maybe the tribe. If Kaylee either doesn't have the capacity or, no interest, whatever the answer may be, if they're not able to do it or want to do it, then my next step was to reach out to the tribe and see if they wanted to be the lead. I think another point that the Coquille made to me that might be a point of confusion or misunderstanding maybe is that their belief is the 7 Mile Creek watershed is low priority for coho salmon, which is more of their focus, not necessarily for Chinook or other species. So that might be one of the reasons why they're less interested in 7 Mile than they maybe otherwise would be. So yeah, if we can get either the SWCD or the tribe to kind of lead the charge. DFW, I've already talked to Mike Ray in Charleston, and Mark and I have talked about this quite a bit. Mike's interested in participating. They have some fish passage funds. They're pretty highly sought after, and it's not a very big pot of money, so it's hard to get anything out of them. But there are some newer programs through the Federal Highway Administration. We were actually successful in getting money for the Haynes Slough tie-gate project that we ended up having to give back because of some formalities in the paperwork. It's a long story. Anyway, they approved the project, said they would fund it, but then when they realized how far along the project actually already was with design and permitting, it couldn't meet their requirements, so we had to give the money back. But that particular program is called the Aquatic Organism Passage Program. It's new federal money through the Federal Transportation Package that was passed a couple years ago. And that money seems to be a little easier to get for culvert replacements at least. And we know that a tie-gate related project can be funded because they were going to fund that one. So that would be a source, that somebody should chase. We in the road department, our piece, of course, is one small part of the puzzle, and that's the culvert and the road itself. So, it's very integral to what needs to be done there. So we're going to be in the middle of it no matter what. And I'll keep pushing on these other entities to try to get somebody to lead the charge because I think it needs to be part of a bigger project to have a better chance of getting funded. If not, we'll move forward with a culvert replacement there ourselves and have to work through the budget process to be able to afford that with our own internal funding. In the meantime, we're going to go down there either later this week or first thing next week and do a repair on the shoulder just so we don't lose any more of that road. It's not going to fix the leak, but it will at least kind of protect what we've got there still so it doesn't get any worse. I have a message into the Halem Marine to ask them to come reassess the pipe and give us a proposal on a cost for patching the hole that's in there that we found with the dive team. So if we can get that patched and get the shoulder repaired, it's not a big fix, but it'd be kind of a Band-Aid to get by for a short period while we figure out a bigger project.
Okay.
That's kind of where we're at.
Paul, if I understand it correctly, the big cost on a project like this is the tie gate itself. Is that not right?
My experience on this size of a system, 7 miles is not a small creek. It's very large. It's going to require a large structure to pass the required flows that'll be needed to meet hydraulic requirements and also fish passage requirements that we have now. As an example, we did a project on Coos River on a creek called Vogel Creek. It's fairly similar size drainage. That ended up being a 7-foot diameter culvert that we installed. And then there was a Nehalem Marine side opening tie gate put on there with what they call a muted tidal regulator, which on these size of drainages is typically required. And that just the tie gate and the muted tidal regulator system was 6 figures. It was almost right at $100,000. Just to buy. So they're not any cheaper than that now. That was probably 8 years ago we did that project. So I expect that at 7 Mile Creek, if one of those is required, it's going to be at least $100,000.
I've been told that the extant, whatever 7 or 8 foot culvert that's there is not really adequate for the flows that are seen there during significant events, and that a more appropriate sizing might be 2 or 3 times that, or 2 or 3 culverts of that size. Is that what you're foreseeing as well?
I think there's a slight possibility that the hydraulics, as far as being able to show that it'll meet requirements, to meet state and federal regulatory requirements, I think there's a possibility you might be able to do that with like an 8-foot round pipe with the right tie gate. But when you start talking about handling peak flows, especially in a brackish water situation, or spring situation, it wouldn't surprise me if what ends up getting built there is more of a box culvert, a large concrete box, with, of course, a larger tie gate, which means well into the 6-figure range, if a muted tidal regulator is required. If an MTR is not required, then the price of the tie gate is substantially less. But, the normal way these things go is in the responsibility. The county is responsible for the road and the culvert, and the landowners who rely on that tie gate for flood control are responsible for the tie gate. So again, I think it's a benefit to both the county and the landowners if we can figure out a way to get other entities involved, interested, and kind of share some of those costs and hopefully get some grant funds to help them out.
Okay, that raises one last question that I had, which is, and maybe Mark might want to speak to this as well, is in light of your plan to effect temporary repairs on the road shoulder and the pavement, what is going to be the ongoing viability of that tide gate? I mean, is it going to continue to function acceptably for another couple of years?
I mean, I guess ultimately that'd be up to the landowners to say that. I mean, just based on what I've seen, that tie gate's in pretty good shape. I think they rebuilt it, how long ago? It's not that old. The gate, the lid itself.
Right.
The end of our culvert, the county road culvert, is not in great shape. It's rough around the end, so it doesn't get a really good seal.
Mm-hmm.
We know it leaks around under the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's another option for repair, but I'm trying to avoid that until we can see who's willing to partner on this project. Because once we do a certain amount of repair work on that culvert, it'll trigger fish passage requirements.
Yeah.
And then we have 1 year to meet requirements. So, and then we would be completely on the hook for the pipe. They would then be stuck completely on the hook for the tie gate and all the appurtenances that go with it. So
Right.
if we can get, one of these other organizations willing to partner and help get some grant funds, we can do a minor Band-Aid now that doesn't trigger fish passage just to get us through to the bigger project.
Okay.
So that's kind of the road I've been heading down.
Okay, very good. Mark?
So,
Question for Paul.
actually,
Go ahead.
so who was the principal and the other parties, if you know, on the Beaver Slough brand-new tie gate?
The one that's being built over
Yeah?
on Charlie Waterman's property up North Payne.
Well, it used to be.
The Watershed Council, I think, is the lead, but I don't know who else is involved.
Okay,
We're not part of that project, so I'm not sure.
all right,
But I'm pretty sure they're the lead.
okay.
They are.
So
Okay.
they're not interested in this one,
They,
according to you?
their level of interest is much less, it's much
Huh,
lower.
that's strange.
They had some interaction with a landowner in that area in the past that didn't go well. And so initially, they didn't want to even talk about the project or working down there.
Mhm.
Kind of got them off that. It's been a lot of years since that happened, so they were willing to rediscuss the idea of working in that area. And they still are. But just looking at the site related to, where they want to work and the fact that they're focused on coho salmon, not Chinook and other species, it's a lower priority for them.
Okay.
It's not to say that, they haven't said they will not. They just said it's lower priority, probably won't be ranked high enough that they would be a lead on
Okay. Right. Mark?
So
Yeah, can you come up, Mark, so we get your comments on the recording?
So the comment by Kaylee Sowers is it's a lie. The landowner, for one thing, is Jerry Doherty. They supposedly talked to a sibling that has issues, anger management. He blew off some steam. So instead of talking to the actual landowner, they made up a story that they talked to the landowner, which it wasn't true. So for them to say that is false. And there's some other things behind it that raise the issue of conflict of interest with Kaylee Sowers. Kaylee Sowers is the niece of my neighboring landowner, who had the whole neighborhood pissed off because they said Coquille was a free-range, free-range for beef cows. There was nothing stating that fences had to be in place. So I called them on it, and I had them held responsible, and they got fined. I gave them like a dozen different opportunities to fix their fences without getting them fined, and they eventually, I got them fined. They were pissed at me, told Kaylee, well, don't do their little project, basically. So there is definitely a conflict of interest. Kaylee is false for making a statement that the landowner said got abusive with whoever, it wasn't the owner, it was a sibling who wasn't the owner. And what about me? I'm one of the landowners, I was never contacted.
Right.
So there's a conflict of interest there. But
Okay.
going forward, I don't want to keep stressing on negative things. I just want to do the right things
Yeah.
and go forward and get things done correctly.
All right.
So my question to Paul is, how did you come up with possibly an 8-foot culvert would be substantial?
Just based on other streams of similar size.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't done any kind of hydraulic calculation or
Okay.
anything, just what I've seen done on other streams.
I did a hydro test or a flow test on it, and it is going to require at least, it'll probably be a box culvert with at least twice the size capacity of what's there. So it's not an 8 and going to do it. I calculated probably 1 million gallons going through that in the winter, which I know I was there when the tide gate was being replaced. That flow was going through there. It's like a rage. I mean, it's incredible power that goes through that. But my other question, who with the tribe said that the 7 mile creek is low priority, not as high priority?
Not the tribe, no, the Coquille Watershed Association.
Okay.
The one I've been talking to is their president, the president of the council.
Coquille?
Yeah.
Who would that have been?
Bruce Follansby.
Okay.
I started with Anna Pfeiffer, who's the project manager, and she passed me to Bruce since it was, for them, it was
I'm being
kind of a
told,
hot topic.
yeah, I'm told that indifferently that one of the STEP program people was here, that 7 Mile Creek was, I'd like to know what is a higher priority, I guess, other than 7 Mile.
Yeah, I can't.
Sounds like a question to pose to the
It
watershed.
could very well be some unfinished projects that they're currently working on.
Right. So Bruce?
Bruce Follansby, he's the president of the council.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Okay, that's the end of our list. Is there anyone else who wishes to tender any comments who did not sign up on the list? Okay. Seeing none, thank you all for being here together today. Go vote. We're adjourned.